This message comes from Whole Foods Market. Shake up dinner time at Whole Foods Market with bold flavors. Now through the 25th, shop the Fire Up Asia sales event in store and online. Kick dinner time up a notch at Whole Foods Market.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. This week, we're connecting the dots between the NFL, Aretha Franklin, and authoritarianism. I know. How are all of these things connected? Well, we're going to find out with Paper Magazine writer and co-host of the podcast Eating for Free, Joan Summers, and New York Times Magazine writer, Jay Wortham. Joan, Jay, welcome to It's Been a Minute.
Hi.
Hello.
Who would you want to do your Kennedy Center tribute?
Oh, God. Okay. I want, obviously, Carol Burnett to read my tweets and also my blogs from the beginning of my career. Like, that would be the greatest thing ever.
I want Viola Davis to read my best tweets.
You two, your levels of confidence about your past tweet history is admirable. I am shocked. I mean, it's the Kennedy Center Honors, so I would like Alice Coltrane to do a musical interpretation of my life on her harp. Like, I don't want anything concrete tied to my actual existence, which is so embarrassing. So I just want, like, the illusion of grandeur.
Yes! Let's get into it. Over the past couple of weeks, there's been some major leadership changes at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, a major cultural institution in Washington, D.C. that promotes the arts through nationwide programming, scholarships, events, and more. And by honoring artists from Aretha Franklin to Stephen Sondheim, the Kennedy Center has become a symbol of the best the American performing arts community has to offer. The center has historically been run by a bipartisan board of trustees, but last week, President Trump replaced 18 members of the Kennedy Center board with his own picks. The new board then unanimously voted the president as chairman of the Kennedy Center for the first time in the center's history. For the record, President Trump, as of last week, said he had never been to the Kennedy Center and never attended the Kennedy Center honors during his first term as president. In the aftermath of this whole upheaval at the Kennedy Center, several artists have cut ties with the institution, from TV and film producer Shonda Rhimes to opera superstar Renee Fleming. Dancers have protested outside the building, specifically citing their concerns about the institution's future. And now, with the nation's highest elected official at the helm of the nation's premier cultural institution, that, again, it hosts lots of performances, but also provides scholarship, education, all of these other opportunities outside the building, right? What does that signal for the broader arts community nationwide? But first, Joan, for the average Joe or Junie, why is the Kennedy Center important? Because I'll be honest, before when I was just a wee one and I was living, in Michigan, I didn't think about the Kennedy Center that much. But I do know it's a large and important organization, but explain to listeners why.
Yeah, it's funny. So much of my relationship to our, let's say, diva history here in the United States, something I concern myself with quite a bit, actually came from watching various Kennedy Center honor tributes of people like Shirley MacLaine, Stephen Sondheim. These are performances that uplift and celebrate and sort of enshrine the greatest artists that we have who have contributed work to the arts across the field, from music to the performing arts to writing. And these institutions like the Kennedy Center, or if we're also thinking of other institutions under attack by Trump right now, like the National Archive, these are part of our living memory as a country, whether that's living memory through documents in the case of the archive, or our living memory through the arts and sort of the story of the American arts. And so for him to sort of infiltrate and attack and seek to dismantle these institutions, it is a great blow to the American arts community, even if it isn't something you think of as impacting your everyday life.
So no president has taken an active leadership role with the Kennedy Center since it opened in 1971. So we're in uncharted territory right now. What are the implications of having a government-run or even government-influenced national cultural center? Jay, I'd love to hear from you first on this.
You know, Brittany, when I saw that news, I received it as a warning, right? Like, this administration is clearly setting a political agenda that's trying to redefine an American national identity in a global landscape. And now they're making really clear strides on what the cultural agenda is going to be. You know, Joan pointed out sort of the interference with the National Archive and sort of this idea of messing with all of our notions of what history is, right? Like the history allegedly in the books, but then also like our pop cultural history, like our cultural understanding of who we are. I think it's a warning. And I think other big cultural institutions and industries should be scared. I mean, Hollywood is already scared in responding to Trump and trying not to upset him. So then what's next after that?
We're discussing kind of what this shift or this change means for us here in America. But I mean, thinking about the world, right? The US exports a lot of things. One of our biggest exports is American culture, and that includes art, movies, TV, music. American culture has created a lot of soft power. What does that power have the potential to look like in the hands of the Trump administration?
Yeah, so the Trump world and its many proponents, from the tech overlords like Elon Musk to the anti-DEI, anti-woke crowds and spokespeople that surround him, that entire world, I don't think has produced art of value. They've certainly produced messaging that is effective. They have produced pieces of propaganda through radio broadcasts and their television programs on Fox News and stuff. We've seen that be extremely effective. But when it comes to the movies, when it comes to music, I don't see anything being made that I could see being enshrined in a place like the Kennedy Center without being at least seen as laughable, or at least coming off as laughable. Look at the inauguration. Look at how badly the arts programming at the inauguration went for them, you know?
I will say it was a big improvement from the 2017 inauguration.
100%.
I think, was it Jackie Evancho was the big headliner? This time, Carrie Underwood is a step up.
Yeah.
I'm being serious.
No,
I'm being
100%.
serious.
But the reaction to Carrie Underwood, and I think her reaction to the reaction to her, I think does speak volumes.
You know the words, help me out here. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Yeah, she definitely faced her fair share of criticism before the performance. She had technical difficulties during the performance, and then after the performance, Carrie Underwood's streaming numbers went down by 6%.
From sea to shining sea.
Thinking about this in a larger sense, Jay, what questions is all this bringing up for you?
Is Trump going to be able to shift the cultural agenda of America as much as he's able to shift the political agenda? And even that, we're still kind of like TBD, right? You know, we are seeing some of these things like these massive layoffs in the federal government. We are seeing the rollback of DEI. I do think that the Kennedy Center specifically is not like an arbiter of global taste and even American culture the way that he thinks it might be. I mean, it's a little bit LOL in some ways, because the Kennedy Center, you know, they're not known for cutting edge programming. The Kennedy Center was on my radar growing up, but it was never on my radar in the sense of I'm going here to be radicalized. I'm going here to have my mind blown. You know, that was happening in Black Cat. That was happening at the 930 Club. That was happening in Sankofa, or like the Black-owned coffee shops.
Right. Shout out DC institutions. I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where consciousness was being raised. It wasn't happening in the Kennedy Center. So I think, you know, there's a real conversation to be had about the importance of these really entrenched cultural institutions right now and their effectiveness. I mean, culture in a way that moves globally has always started at the margins and moved inward, right?
Right.
But I do think in the most immediate sense, what we probably will start to see is, you know, Joe Rogan having a show at Kennedy Center.
To that point, we are in a moment where we're seeing our government take aggressive executive action towards the vision of culture and American identity that they want to see, from anti-DEI orders to anti-trans executive orders. And this is also happening as more and more of our major cultural institutions, whether it's the Grammys or Saturday Night Live, and even major artists that themselves have become institutions, like Beyonce thinking about her halftime performance on Christmas Day, or Kendrick Lamar thinking about his halftime performance at the Super Bowl this year. They're being met with mixed reactions. All of these institutions and major artists, they're being met with mixed reactions when they try to comment on the moment. I mean, I wonder, in times like these, what is the role of the artist, and what do people, whether they want to admit it or not, want from artists in these moments?
I think that we're seeing a few different social forces converge all at once. First off, people are increasingly mistrustful of the powerful, whether they are the powerful that look like us or the powerful who stand against us. I think that that is something that is true. I also think that at the same time as that, the public's trust in and need for art has shifted dramatically since even we three have been alive. I think that we live in a time more than ever where we see illiteracy rates are skyrocketing. We see that the relationship people have to the movies, how many people are buying albums, how many people are buying books, all of these arts institutions that have sort of held up the fabric of the American arts community for so long are being degraded. And so I think across the board, we are really in a time where it's what actually does art mean to anybody? Because it seems like it has never mattered less. And I think that with different forces now that can sort of pierce through the medium of art, just speaking directly to people on TikTok or news programming, I think that people have sort of bypassed what art maybe was communicating and just gone right to people who are going to tell them what they want to hear, tell them what they want to believe, tell them who they are in a society and who to follow. And I think that all of these things are kind of swirling around us and battling for power at this very moment.
I would just add that I think there is a really big question about what culture is and what popular culture is. And I think that's why the Grammys end up mattering. And I think that's why NFL halftime shows end up mattering, because these are entry points that a lot of people have access to, right? If you aren't going to the movies anymore, if you're not reading books anymore, sure, you'll turn on the Super Bowl for a little bit, watch the commercials, watch the halftime show. I think those entry points become even more important in this time when the other kind of pillars of art and cultural engagement are degrading. But at the same time, I see things like Wicked, which is about fascism, and it is about, legislation being erected to exterminate otherness, and all of these themes that are directly linked to the moment that we're in being one of the most successful films of the year. Are people really thinking about those themes? Do we have the tools? Do we have the literacy? Do we have the media criticism to be able to sit with these ideas and think about them? Probably not. A lot of that we outsource, I think, to scrolling on social media. So I do think that's the part that worries me the most.
Jay, Joan, I have learned so much here. Thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Of course. Always a pleasure to go on my favorite podcast.
Well, as a thank you to the both of you, I'd like to teach you something by playing a game with you all. Can you stick around for a tiny bit longer?
Love a game.
Oh my God, of course.
Yay! We'll be right back with a little game I like to call, But Did You Know? Stick around.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Saatva. Founder and CEO Ron Rudson shares the story of how he got started creating Saatva.
In 2007, 2008, I went out and I bought the most popular luxury mattresses. I tore them apart and I realized, based on the raw materials cost and the analysis that I had done, that I was able to sell that level mattress, but with a very affordable price.
To learn more, go to SAATVA.com/NPR.
This message comes from Charles Schwab. When it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices, like full-service wealth management and advice when you need it. You can also invest on your own and trade on Thinkorswim. Visit schwab.com to learn more. This message comes from Homes.com. When you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Homes.com has got you covered with a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
This message comes from Noom, using psychology and biology to build personal meal plans to fit your lifestyle, taking into account dietary restrictions, medical issues, and other personal needs with daily lessons that are personalized to you and your goals. Noom's flexible program focuses on progress instead of perfection to help you build new habits for a healthier lifestyle. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com.
All right. We're going to play a little game I like to call, But Did You Know? Here's how it works. I'm going to share a story, and as I give you some background on the story, I'll also ask you trivia related to it. But don't worry, it's all multiple choice, and the first one to blurt out the right answer gets a point. Person with most points wins, and their prize is bragging rights. Are y'all ready?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
All right, to start, this week marks 57 years since the first broadcast of the beloved children's show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But the show, as we know it today, was not the first iteration of the Puppet Palooza. In what country did an early version called Mr. Rogers air? A, the United Kingdom. B, France. C, Canada.
The UK.
Feels like something they would do.
Well, unfortunately for you both, the answer is Canada.
Dang it!
Whoa.
Mr. Rogers aired on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, for about 4 years, where several set pieces that would help define the American version, such as the trolley or the castle, were created. So there you go. All right, next question. From 1968 to 2001, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood defined childhood television for generations. How many episodes aired in that time frame? Was it A, 895, B, 999, or C, 1,213?
1,213.
Joan says 1213. Jay, what say you?
I'll just say the 901. My brain can't do that math, and I accept that reality. It's fine.
Unfortunately,
We're all wrong.
both guessed wrong. The answer is 895. And fun fact, of those 895 episodes, Mr. Fred Rogers wrote 895 of them.
What?
Okay, every single one.
Icon.
I know. So to recap the score, Joan, you are at 0 points, and Jay, you are at 0 points. Without further ado, the final tie-breaking question. Question number 3. The legacy of Mr. Rogers lives on through the airing of a spin-off series based around which of his iconic characters? Is it A, Daniel Tiger, B, King Friday III, or C, Lady Elaine Fairchild?
Daniel Tiger.
Jay says Daniel Tiger. What say you, Joan?
I can't. This is not my wheelhouse. If it was about the Muppets, maybe, but not Mr. Rogers.
Well, Jay, you were right. The answer is Daniel Tiger.
Yes, I have littles in my life, so I know.
There's a song that I still know from that show. When accidents happen, you should tell someone, and it can help. I watched it with my niece, and I was like, yo, and then we were able to use it later that day.
It's very cute, very effective, super helpful.
Very effective. Well, the show Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, an animated series for kids, has run since 2012 and centers on the tiger's adventures in the neighborhood of make-believe. There you go. All right. Well, that's it for But Did You Know for this week. Congratulations to Jay on your win.
Whoop, whoop. I'll take it.
Yes. And Joan, Jay, thank you both so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. What a delight.
Truly. That was Paper Magazine's Joan Summers and New York Times Magazine's Jay Wortham. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Corey Antonio Rose, Barton Girdwood.
This episode was edited by
Jasmine Romero,
Nina Patak.
Our executive producer is
Verilyn Williams.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Boll & Branch. Change your sleep with Boll & Branch's airy blankets, cloud-like duvets, and breathable sheets. Feel the difference with 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com with code NPR. Exclusions apply. See site for details. This message comes from Bombas. Their socks are super plush, designed to support your arches and support people in need. One purchase equals one donated to those experiencing homelessness. Go to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off your first order.
This message comes from Intuit. Why is Intuit Enterprise Suite a better solution for growing businesses? It provides powerful financial management and accounting capabilities integrated with payments processing, payroll, HR, marketing, third-party apps, and more. Through powerful automation and insights, it helps you manage one or more businesses in one place. Visit intuit.com/enterprise to learn more. Money Movement Services by Intuit Payments, Inc., licensed by NYDFS.